Hello, my loves. Thank you for joining me today for my Facebook Live on Free the Wisdom to Heal the Body. I wanted to talk today about something that seems to be a very confusing topic for many people, and that even includes myself. And that is how we take care of ourselves versus how we muffle our soul's voice or our body's needs in favor of what just feels good or what is easier to do. So today, I'm going to try to give you different examples of what self-care would look like and how that would compare to other types of caring for self that perhaps aren't as beneficial or as healthy. So first, I'd like to talk about self-indulgence. Self-indulgence always feels good in the moment, and it is something that we do primarily to minimize or mitigate feelings of inadequacy, frustration, guilt, shame, and overwhelm. It's the way we try to tell ourselves that it's going to be okay by catering to that inner child and trying to distract ourselves from the ways in which our adult self fears that things are not or will not be okay. So examples of self-indulgence would be things that we do for or to ourselves that give us either a minimal level of satisfaction, or B, a level of satisfaction that isn't ongoing. So it might be things that we appreciate in the moment, but we wouldn't be grateful we did an hour from now, or a day from now, or a week from now. One example might be eating foods that aren't healthy for our bodies, but simply please our mouths. They give us either a brief sense of satiation, or they simply distract us with a physiological reaction, like sugar, useless carbs, and or addiction responses to things like caffeine, nicotine, or alcohol. Will we be glad we indulged in an hour, in a day, next week? Or were we simply trying to distract ourselves from an emotional state that we didn't want to sit in? Were we trying to save time over saving our lives? Were we forced into a childlike, self-soothing dynamic rather than being a healthy, loving parent of ourselves that practices self-control? Another example might be spending money. Perhaps we're spending money we don't have, or spending money on trivialities that we don't need. Now, for different people, this could mean different things. This could mean spending a lot of money or spending a little amount of money, buying things that are unnecessary, or buying things that we've convinced ourselves that we deserve. It depends on your financial health. But what I've found is that generally when we're convinced that we deserve a treat, a lot of times it's an inner child response. Whether we make excuses about our deservedness, or whether we tell ourselves how hard we've worked or what we've had to put up with, it seems to bypass logical thought and instead kind of fulfills that pouting inner self that's feeling sorry for itself, or put upon, or martyred in some way. So as I've seen it, when we're self-indulgent, it's often just a response to our inner victim. Ultimately, if we stop to think about it, we probably would not know before we were indulging in whatever act it is, or would know, that we are not going to be glad that we did this a day from now, a week from now, or a month from now. It's purely to serve the now and to distract us from what we don't want to look at. In contrast, self-care generally has effort attached to it. It's thoughtful versus unthinking. It has some measures of self-control, measures of self-respect. It is, for instance, the way a mother might treat a child, helping a child get its needs met without indulging that child in things that are unnecessary to meet their needs that they simply want. Think feeding a child the food its body needs versus the snacks or desserts the child's begging for. Self-care is not just doing what's easy, it's doing what's right. It's not just doing what's wanted, it's doing what's necessary. Self-care could be taking time to prep food so when you're hungry, you don't just grab for something that's quick and easy to put in your mouth. And this is especially important if you know you're always running behind and don't have the time. Self-care is not stopping by a store and spending money that isn't needed except for some distracting retail therapy. It's saving money so you don't have to borrow it in order to get something that really matters to you, not just giving you a dopamine hit at the moment and thus making you feel better momentarily. And brief educational side note, dopamine is the neurotransmitter that's released to give us a feeling of satisfaction after a pleasurable experience. The bigger or grander the experience, the bigger the hit. Think of a gambling addict, someone who's addicted to the hit of winning and will keep playing even if they're losing because they remember the dopamine release when they win. Self-care is not about a dopamine release. It's planning ahead, planning for your future, planning for your health, and planning for your life. Self-care is watching acts of self-indulgence and making sure that they're balanced with acts of self-love. Self-care is getting enough sleep, taking time out of your day to honor your need for rest. It's getting some sort of movement or exercise, preferably one that elevates your heart rate every single day in order to keep all of your organs functioning properly. Your heart is a muscle, and as a personal trainer of mine is always happy to say, you need to take your heart for a walk every day. Self-care is eating food that your body loves, but just doesn't satisfy your taste buds. It's noticing when you're using substances to manage an unhealthy mental or emotional state that really could use some therapeutic assistance or introspection, and instead you're utilizing addiction. It's not leaving yourself or your needs for last until you no longer have the time or energy to see to them. It's refusing to let yourself be martyred, codependent, or a people pleaser. It's standing up for yourself, even if no one ever taught you how to do it, or no one else ever did it for you. It's doing things that'll make you feel better tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, not just something that's going to make you feel better right now. So you might need to ask yourself every day, I do it several times a day, if my future self will be glad of what I'm doing or thinking of doing. And if the answer is no, well, it's likely that I or you are being self-indulgent instead of self-caring. Another example, are you staying up late when you know you always feel better if you go to bed sooner and get up earlier? But instead, you start your day behind and running late, feeling harried and stressed because you were too tired to wake up at a time that your system would have preferred, especially to not send you into some space of frustration or anxiety. Not turning off computers, TVs, tablets, and phones late at night, an hour or 3 before bed, to let your circadian rhythms help you sleep, is an example of something that's self-indulgent. Something that made you feel good at the time, but not when you're groggy and unhappy in the morning. When was the last time you took a nap in the middle of the day, if it was possible, rather than do a chore? For you, would that be self-indulgence, or would that be self-care? So you probably noticed by now that I'm not just going to be giving you a list of tasks or tools, because really they vary depending on the person. If you are someone who's ordinarily incredibly strict with yourself, then perhaps you really need some more gentleness to take a moment or longer to do something that is more loving and honoring. To set down your must-do list and take a break with a nice-to-do list. If you are so strict that you never let yourself do something that you'd enjoy, then perhaps it's time to occasionally do that. However, on the other hand, if you're so self-indulgent that you really don't take good care of yourself, then perhaps it's time to start making a plan and put it into action. It's time for you to take better care of yourself, which may mean being more restrictive at times, like a parent would be. Does that make sense? Think about, what was the last time you went to a doctor? When was the last time you had a checkup? When was the last time you had blood work done? You don't have to wait until there's something really wrong with you to do this. It's okay to check on your body and your health on an annual or semi-annual basis. Have you been putting off a mammogram or a pap smear? Or perhaps it's past time for a colonoscopy or a prostate exam? Self-care means checking on your health, especially when it's not fun to do. On this same vein, when was the last time you went to a dentist, had your teeth cleaned or checked? When was the last time you had your eyesight checked or your hearing? Regular checkups are a sign of a psychological trait we call conscientiousness. And being conscientious is a personality trait that's actually linked to living longer. Things like using sunscreen, flossing your teeth. Are you taking vitamins? Well, to be honest, unless your diet is 80 to 90% living foods, you're potentially nutrient deficient. Did you know you could get a micronutrient blood panel? And it would show you how you're doing on those vitamins and minerals that will keep you healthy and long-lasting. And also, there's a strong genetic link to whether or not your body will even process certain nutrients it needs healthfully. And so whether or not you need to supplement. I know some ancestry things will actually tell you if you might be deficient in some genome, which means that your body doesn't process magnesium as well. Are you middle-aged? Get a test to find out the levels of your estrogen, your progesterone, your testosterone. You might need bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, whether you're a biological male, female, or intersex. Self-care is caring for your body, your physical self, your overall health and well-being, and making sure that you have the longest life possible that you desire. Now, some people are excellent at self-care, but they're not as good as what I would refer to as soul care. So what is that? Well, I think of soul care as the ways in which we care for our minds, emotions, and spiritual selves. It's those things that we do that are planning for the future, long term, while taking care of ourselves in the short term. It can look like taking time to expand our minds with enriching information that help us to look at the world in a deeper and more profound way. It's learning to see more than one side of an issue or an argument, so we're less likely to feel out of balance when challenged or triggered by belief systems that aren't our own. It's sitting with those uncomfortable emotions and learning how to integrate them, rather than just stuffing them down inside ourselves or brushing them aside rather than dealing with them. This may mean seeking help. You were most likely not raised with emotional regulation tools and strategies that were enough to take you through your entire life. And even those of you who were raised without trauma and with healthy, happy, effective parents, well, your needs grow and change as you age, and you need to continue to seek out how to best care for yourself in order to stay healthy as you experiencing suffering and loss and struggle throughout your life. It's not enough just to care for your body. You have to care for your feelings as well. As the mind thinks, so the body suffers. Soul care is seeing a therapist, a coach, or a counselor to help you through difficult times, relationships, stress, and loss. It's continuing to read and research more effective tools to help you be happy, for laughter is indeed the best medicine. It's understanding that worrying is just another way of praying, but this time for something you don't want. Soul care is minimizing the time you spend becoming inundated with the suffering of others, especially if you're not in a position to ease that suffering in any way. There is no way to be happy if you continue to immerse yourself with everything that is miserable. It's not making anything better, as you cannot make anything better if you're overwhelmed with suffering. Learn the difference between information and inundation, and accept your right to make the differences you can make, and let the rest go a while you rest your soul. Soul care is also taking time to meditate, if not every day, then every week, in some way at some point. If you are unhappy or anxious and not peaceful, then trust me, you need to meditate more. Meditation has been proven to strengthen the telomere caps on the ends of our DNA and thus keep them from fraying. As they do, our bodies decay more quickly. Meditation also helps lower our blood pressure, increase our immune response, and manage our mood. And I have personally never found a more effective technique for emotion regulation and intentional spiritual reset, especially when I'm feeling out of balance with myself, or I feel like I'm not the grandest version of the greatest vision I ever had about who I am. And if you don't believe me on the powerful advances of meditation, look it up for yourself. Something else that meditation does is it also helps us experience being out of time. And by that I mean taking us out of the stream of what was and what will be, and placing us directly and solely in the space of what is now. As Lao Tzu would say, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. And if you're at peace, then you're living in the present. As Neil Donald Walsh would say, the present is the present moment that you have given yourself. It's a gift. And for those of us who are monochronic, which in brief, those that are run by the concept of time, one of the greatest soul care gifts we can give ourselves is to lose track of time, to not pay attention to what needs to be done by when, and to just enjoy the expansion of the present moment, when we're focused only on our internal experience of experiencing the external. And for those who are polychronic, like some people I really love that are probably on this live, those that seem to have no sense of time, but rather are run by tasks, one of the greatest gifts they can give themselves is to simply stop doing something. Stop being distracted from one task to another. Stop reading, writing, driving, doing, and just be present without their minds taking in more information. Well, I see that I've gone long, but I hope this was helpful today. I wanted to share it with you, and obviously there's way more we could talk about these subjects. You know, I didn't talk about spiritual care as it relates to faith, or as it relates to our pursuit of our own enlightenment, or our energetic self-care, like I kind of talked about in the last live. So obviously each topic could be spoken about at even further length. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me and I'll give you a free 30-minute private breakthrough session, and hopefully I can help you. So for now, let's go to the comments and see if anyone has any questions for me today. So Karma says, I definitely will tell myself I deserve to indulge in sweets and candy if I have a bad day, even if I know it's not good for me. Yeah, I do the same thing. You probably got it from me. Karma being my daughter, who, by the way, graduated from Chico State last weekend. She's amazing. So proud of her. Except for indulging in sweets and candy. So that would be something that, again, if you're telling yourself, I deserve this, I worked so hard, take a look at what you're telling yourself you deserve. Is it a nice long walk or a bowl full of fresh fruit? Well, if it's not, you might be running to more self-indulgent somethings that are not healthy for your body, your mind, or your soul. Emily agrees with Carmen, says she does that too. Yeah, I think we all struggle with it, right? And it's just kind of becoming aware of that little trigger that we hear in our mind, right? Is this something that's going to make us feel good right now, but you won't be glad you did tomorrow? Susan said she gets that too. Yes, I think that we all have it, and it's just a matter of those of us that are more conscious and more deliberate. Janice said she needed to hear all of that today. Thank you. You are welcome. Karma said thank you. Thank you, sweetheart, for being so incredible. Emily said, good job, Karma. Susie said, maybe you could lead us in a meditation sometime. I would love to do that. Susie, no one has ever asked me to do that on a live. And I think if anyone else agrees, then please like her comment or make your own that you too would like me to lead you in a meditation. I would love to do that for you. And just tell me perhaps what you would like to get out of that meditation. So would it be something that would make you feel kind of closer to Creator, or something that would make you feel more grounded in your earthly body and a greater connection with Mother Earth? Or perhaps something that would send you out into the stratosphere and connect you with all life that could ever be. Or maybe it might be a meditation that would help you go within your body and look specifically for perhaps ways and places where your body might not be at its greatest health. In fact, perhaps it could be a meditation where I teach you how to be more sensitive to the signs of your body. Because as you know, there's some of us who are really connected to our body sensation, and then there's others who aren't. They don't even know they're sick until they go to the doctor and someone tells them that they are. So let me know if you have a particular type of meditation you'd like, and I would be happy to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Thanks for suggesting it, Susie. And I see that 4 people have already said yes, they want to do it too. So, okay, I love you. Take care of yourselves for me. I actually hadn't decided on what I wanted to do next Monday's live about. So unless someone has a bigger, better idea, I think I will lead us in a meditation. Just leave a comment on this stream or make another comment. Maybe I'll even make a poll, and you guys can tell me what kind of meditation you'd like. Okay. I look forward to talking to you next Monday at 5:30. Have a wonderful, safe Memorial Day. Bye.